one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for that. It looks like we have 5 of 7 counselors present tonight, and I'll let our city manager do a quick little intro to what we're going to be covering tonight, introduce the budget, and then we're going to jump right into our debt service, which for everyone up here, that's going to start you on page 169. All right,
Thank you,
Louis.
Mr. Chair. You're exactly right. It's budget workshop. It's our 5th meeting for this 2020 budget. We started September 27th with an overview from Manager Parkett. Had a second meeting on the 18th of October, a third meeting on the November 1st, and we're on to the November 15 budget workshop. There's been 2 of those were public hearings so far. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So like I said, we'll jump right into debt service on page 169. And Brad, I believe that's you.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have any questions. The revenue side on the debt service, the $86,949, that's funds coming from the solid waste reserve that we've done every year. That comes into that account and then pays the public works garage bond payment. You can see that down below.
Mm-hmm.
As far as any changes, really the main changes were just some added debt to some buildings in the industrial park. Everything else is pretty much the same.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions from the City Council? Okay, seeing none, thank you for that overview, Brad. And we'll move right on to utilities on page 166. All right.
Guess I got that one.
Excellent.
Utilities, it's pretty straightforward, 8% increase on water, sewer, streetlights have gone up twice this year. Got any questions, or not sure what we're looking for here?
So when I reviewed it, I guess just maybe if you could highlight real quickly for the council, just the biggest changes in expenses as far as, what it is that is just driving the numbers.
The numbers are just the increases. It's not the usage of anything. It's just the increases.
Just the
8% increase for, water and sewer, as well as the prices are going up. That's all it is.
Excellent.
No difference in usage on anything.
Any questions from the City Council about utilities?
So Harley, if I was going to follow that, the water district is charging us 7% more for the hydrants. Basically.
Yes, 8, yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
No other questions.
Perfect.
Any others? Excellent. Thank you very much, Harley. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll go right into Echo Lake on page 179. And Louis, are you doing this, or in the past it was Galen?
If there's any questions, it'd be Galen, yeah.
Good evening, Council. This budget is fairly straightforward. Our revenues are in a slight decrease because we had one camp owner, their camp actually was demolished. So they're not going to be on our future system. And then, of course, the 2 outstanding items are electric service and equipment maintenance and repairs. The system is failing. We had increased repairs this year, and then, of course, electric service, we can't change that. That's for since rates. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any questions for Galen? No?
How do you account, Galen, for the overlay and abatements there? What's that? I mean, the big 22 actual, 23 budget. Pretty good gap there on page 181.
Let me pull that up.
It kind of jumps off the page. I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not seeing it in my.
Yeah, which page you on, Kev?
Which page?
181.
181's for classified.
That's on
Oh,
classified.
I'm sorry. Wow. Where did Echo Lake go?
Oh, that'd be 179.
Oh, okay.
So we budget the 8,200,
Yep.
but we've only used.
Yep, I can share that. So what that was, last year, if you remember, we were doing the Echo Lake agreement with the users of the system.
Yep.
They did not sign, all of them had to agree to sign the agreement. Those numbers that are there, the 8207 is based off the Presque Utilities District for 2023. So that was if they didn't all sign, they'd have to pay what the utility district rate was, because that was what they originally agreed to. If they ratified the agreement, it was a lower amount. It was like $515 a user per year. And so they did all sign, they all ratified, so that's why there's a decrease in revenue.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Good question.
And that project, of course, is now funded, and you got the approvals of it.
Yep.
In the last meeting, I think we talked about that,
Yep.
or in the last two. And then, so that's on to the construction phase next.
Yep. Spring, hopefully as soon as it thaws out and it's as wet down there as you know, we'll start that
Yep.
project.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Galen. Okay, moving along to our IT department on page 213.
Brad again.
Okay. Just two line items on this one, computer repairs and maintenance. That's where we have our IT contractor. Out of that, our Trio software, there is an increase to that line item only because of, we're expensing the Presque software out of that as opposed to the City Hall Reserve as we have in the past. Just move that over because it is an annual expense. And that's really about it, and just phone and internet charges.
Excellent. Any questions about IT for Brad? Okay, seeing none, we'll keep going to unclassifieds on page 181. All right, Louis, do you want to handle unclassifieds?
Well, I'll give you a start, and I do believe there's some folks here who will speak on behalf. The list, if you want to start at the top, Central Rustic Humane Society. I don't know if there's anyone here. They're in the budget for 16.5, and that is an increase from 23 of about 2,500. Yeah. We'll just wait. The cemeteries, we have several on the list. I don't believe any of them are increased. The Johnson Cemetery is in there at 8,400. I believe that's where Mr. Bruce is here. Did you want to speak about that, or?
Any questions from the council?
Just quick question, Bruce. We increased the amount last year, and I guess just an update on how that affected the ongoing operations.
I took on the mowing job this summer, did some volunteer work up there, but we didn't get to use all the money because of the weather. There's sunken graves to be repaired, stones to fix, which I will probably end up doing, but I didn't dare to take the equipment into that cemetery. It's wet to start with,
Right.
and all the rain. And so I spent $6,200 in wages, my wages to pay for my equipment and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
And then Scott Kirsten has some things I don't have. We won't have a complete budget till springtime,
Okay.
or accounting. But he has some expenses for insurances for the cemetery and things that I don't have. So we probably used a big chunk of that money.
Okay.
To say we used it all, no. But I've got another problem with the rain we had this summer. We had quite a lot of washing of the road in that cemetery. And so I'm gonna have to try to bring a contractor in next year. I've been somewhat lucky in getting them to donate supplies, but work we're gonna have to pay for. And so we're basically where we were, except, this year's workload that I had planned is now gonna add in what I plan to do next year, so.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
No, well, thanks for the
Thank
work
you.
on it, Bruce.
Thank you.
ACAP is in, new this year, 3,877. I don't know if there's anyone here from ACAP.
Louis, are these,
Where's that?
On
Page
unclassifieds?
188 is where you can,
Where?
oh, I am. My apologies.
It's okay, Louis, I did that first and I broke the ice on that, so, yeah.
So, the rest of these unclassifieds are pretty much standard things. Sister O'Donnell Shelter is in there, 14,528. Most of the rest of them are our normal dues and normal expenses that we have every year.
Excellent. You want to say
Can
something?
I ask, 13, the 650% increase of $375,000, what's that?
We'll probably have to refer to Brad.
Yeah, so that, normally you just carry 50,000, or I think prior years it was 100. And that increase is just, COLA, is the COLA is estimated in there.
Oh,
And that's salaries and the benefits
okay.
of that COLA.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that'll obviously be subject to change, but.
Right. So that'll get distributed to other areas of the budget once
Yeah.
those things are settled, but right
Okay.
now it's a placeholder.
All right,
Okay, gotcha.
gotcha.
Yeah. All right.
One other
Thank you.
thing, just to mention, the downtown revitalization committee, I'm here to speak on that. The 13,851, that was just carried from the prior year, but they do have a request to increase that back to the level it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So I don't know if you want to speak on that.
My name is Matthew Ryan. I'm with the Presque Downtown Revitalization Committee. So we're an 11-member board made up of 9 private citizens that are appointed as voting members. I'm one such member. We have 2 city councilors and 1 city liaison, Mr. Galen Wiley over there. Our primary focus is encouraging events and revitalization efforts in the downtown area, like the historic downtown area, basically. And our budget is provided in an annual appropriation by this city council. So here's the last 2 years ago budget, 2022. It was about 21. Sorry, that's better. It's $21,500. Last year we actually requested a decrease because we didn't need as much going into it. But this coming year we actually have some plans, which I'll go into just in a minute, to increase that budget to the 22,851. Revenues provided in the annual appropriation by the city council, in addition to different sponsorships and different events that we have, banner programs and whatnot that people will pay for to help us out. The primary expense for this coming year, we want to actually put new Christmas holiday lights up over the main street, spruce up the downtown. That's why it's a significant increase. I'm kind of dealing with some of the overseas manufacturers of the lights to try to get the best pricing, but there's timing issues and also there's how to set them up, and we're trying to cover all that ground before we just spend the money, you know.
Yeah.
And also we figured that it will be a little bit less expensive going into next year than going into Christmas.
Right.
And then we do have a rollover request because of this. We're gonna try to do it in first quarter or second quarter of next year instead of fourth quarter of this year. So we are requesting, do you have that amount, Galen?
It's $2,800 is outstanding. They still have some bills with the banner change for the winter.
Okay.
Banners, the lights to put them up. And then they also have ongoing expense with the Presque Fire Department, with volunteers. We give them a donation for
Mhm.
watering the flowers. So that bill hasn't come yet, but they should have about 20 left over to this year.
And we'd like to just continue that to next
We
year.
would like to, because we're probably gonna need it for, for the lights, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, here's just a list of our upcoming projects. We do the downtown beautification, the little flower program. We do that kind of every year. Same with Rockin' on Riverside. It's the free concert series that's over the summer. We do the seasonal banner program, which has the veterans banners and then different seasons on them. The costs associated with that program are going to be going up because the Joy Electric, who are the ones that do it, they've increased their cost to us. Seems to be a trend. So there's about a $3,000 increase there. And then, yeah, I go into that's the big one, is the holiday Christmas lights. So this is kind of some of the different things that we're kind of looking at for possibly going, over across between the buildings on Main Street. Obviously, we have a lot of things to consider, road projects, height, all that stuff, and also just where to anchor them on buildings. But there's lots of different selections. Anyway, that's basically our, but that's basically our request.
Okay.
You guys have any questions for me?
Ryan, just a quick comment. I think you guys have done an amazing job. The place, Main Street, our downtown, our hometown, looks fantastic 12 months out of 12 because of the effort that you guys are doing. Veterans banners, I drive it 5-6 times a day, and I'm always looking up at a stoplight and reading the stuff, and I think you're doing a fantastic job. This is not a big change in our total budget. I think the request is dollars well spent. We're welcoming a lot of people into our community. We're a service center for Aroostook County, so you guys are stepping the game up. You're making us look good, and thank you for that.
Well, thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much for the kind words. I think you guys do a great job too, so we really appreciate it.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
I do apologize. I have to get back to my business.
You're all set now, please. Okay, so with unclassifieds wrapped up, we're going to move on to outside requests. We have a number of these today, and some people here to kind of talk about their requests to the city. So we'll just go down the list here and see who has people here who would like to speak. And first one on my list is ACAP, which is on page 188 for the one inside the binders. Is there someone here from ACAP who would like to speak tonight?
They did send a letter, it's page 190.
Okay, we'll just keep moving down. If you would like to see the request, obviously this entire binder is on the city website, so please check that out if you'd like more detail on what these requests entail. But as you can see up there, we have the raw request as well. Anyone from the American Red Cross? Aroostook Area on Aging? Aroostook Council for Healthy Families? The Chamber of Commerce? Come on up, go ahead, state your name and to hear your presentation.
Good evening, my name is Lenny Searway. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Aroostook Chamber of Commerce, so thank you for having me tonight. It's a privilege. And I also want to thank you for the last meeting when you approved the closure of Main Street for us to have the light parade on December 2nd. That's coming together very well, so thank you for that. So I just wanted to do a quick overview. I'm going to be faster this year than I usually am. We do host 10 larger events in the city of Presque Isle. We do host a couple of conferences and craft fairs. The Crown and Main Balloon Fest is our largest one. And of course, you're aware of the parade. We did pick up the Fiddlehead Festival. We found out last year in February that that wasn't going to happen, so the Chamber did pick that up as an extra event for the city of Presque Isle. We hosted 34 smaller scale events. Those are, we host the First Friday Art Walks. We had 2 business after hours, 7 eggs and issues. We held a legislative update breakfast, and we hosted 12 ribbon cuttings. We supported some other events. We participated in 4 Rockin' on Riverside events, the Car Showed Street Block Party, the Firemen's Convention Parade, and we partnered with the Career Center on 2 hiring events. And we held we participated in the Main Biz on the Road show that was held at the Northeastland Hotel. We serve 214 business members. We have worked with 480 businesses, And we've promoted 144 of them on social media and in our newsletter. We do have a newsletter now so that you can keep up with the happenings of our program. We wrote 10 letters of support for grants that were written on behalf of the city of Presque Isle. And we have 10 board members out of the 21 that serve on our board. So that, I just said that's the fastest recap I can give. I don't want to keep you all night, but if you have any questions or concerns, I'm here to answer any questions.
Anything from the city council?
Nope, just to continue accolades for your good job and
Thank you.
activities, and we're
Thank you.
looking forward to the light parade. That's always fantastic. That's
Yes.
one of our biggest events, honestly.
Well, and it's a good one because the businesses can promote themselves. They can use it. It's a free forum to do that. And
Right.
so that's why I like to be the announcer, because it gives me a chance to really champion that community for sure.
Thanks. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
having me. Have a great evening.
You as well. Moving down the line here, we have the Central Rustic Soil and Water. Anyone would like to speak here tonight from GIFT? Yeah, go ahead. Please
Good
go ahead and
evening.
state your name, please.
My name is Scott Smith. I'm the treasurer of the Gift Food Pantry. I live in Presque Isle. This is the first year we've ever asked for any assistance with our food pantry. We're the largest food pantry north of Bangor. And we service about 1,000 families a year and close to 2,000 individuals. We are 100% volunteer. There's no paid staff. We are paid members of the Good Shepherd Food Bank and the Catholic Charities Food Distribution System, and we pay for that. We rent a place over on Industrial Street, so we have rent, electricity costs. And our annual budget is about $20,000 for what we do. Our annual cash budget, we get donated food that doesn't come into that, so we don't account for that into the system. And within the last year, we've had a significant drop-off in individual and business donations, and it made a large increase in, I call them customers, people coming in for food. And because the food stamp program has cut back the amount of money that they're paying for food stamps, so that people run out of money sooner, and our numbers are way up. And about 40% of our customers are senior citizens. And we have a shortfall this year of about $6,000 of what we're looking at coming year end. Like I said, I'm the treasurer, been there about 9 years now. And so we were asking for $3,000. You have us in for $400. We appreciate anything you can give us. But like I said, this is the first time we've ever asked. We don't ask if we don't need it. And if anybody has any questions about our operation, Charlene Buzza is here. She's is a past volunteer executive director of the volunteers. If anybody has any questions of us, more than welcome.
So, just to be clear, Scott, what's the ask? Is it 3,000 or 4,000? What do you?
We were asking for 3,000.
Okay.
And how many days a week? Tell us a little bit about the operation.
Okay, go ahead, Charlene. She can give you all that.
I'm Charlene Buzza, and I don't like microphones, but that's okay. I'm Charlene Buzza, and I worked at GIFT as the director of the shopping, I guess I should call it, for 5 years.
Okay.
And we have seen a lot of increase. What happens, we accept donations from anybody. If any of you wanted to say, okay, I've got 500 pounds of potatoes, I'd say bring it on and I'll meet you. We have it set up like a store. Where we are is, it used to be a grocery store, you know where it is on?
Yep.
Okay. So we have it set up like a grocery store. We are open 4 Wednesdays a month. People have to call in and make a reservation to come in. They give us the number of people in their family. So when they come, since COVID, they have a They can either ask to have a box put up, and then we just take it out to them, or they come in and shop. We have a limit as to what they can get, I mean, you know, but we try to have everything that you and I would eat. Cereal, milk, eggs, whatever. So we take them around, there's a shopper's helper that goes with them to make sure they don't take more than they should. They can choose, they don't like Rice Krispies, so they like something else. We try to make it so that they don't feel that we're looking down on them. We try to make it so they're like us when we go grocery shopping. We have been very fortunate. The Micmacs have brought us, I don't want to say leftover, but what they haven't sold, they bring us vegetables. We have some farmers that bring us potatoes. And like Scott said, it's all volunteer. Yes, we have to pay for some of the food, and we get some of the food from Good Shepherd down in, well, it actually comes out of Auburn.
Yeah.
We have to pay so much for that. And we pay to Catholic Charities a yearly stipend so that we can get food from them. Ask me any question you want, I can answer you.
Is GIFT actually an acronym for something?
Grace Interfaith Food Pantry.
What's
Food
that?
table.
What's
Grace,
that again?
Grace Interfaith Food Table.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew it was there somewhere.
And we serve Presque Isle, Presque Isle, Mapleton, Castle Hill, Chapman. We do not turn anybody away if they came from Mars Hill, because food is food and people need it. And I know he gave you about, but I will tell you, and what I look at is the elderly and the children. In August, we had 78 elderly people and 49 children. In September, we had 96 elderly and 51 children. And in October, we had 79 elderly and 41 children. That tells me a lot, and we really appreciate anything you can give us. If any of you are businessmen that have extra anything, food-wise, we'll always take it. So thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
You guys had mentioned you were asking for 3,000. Where is that request?
I do have it, and it's in the book as well.
I didn't see anything in the book.
It was given to Martin right before he left, and I don't know that it got in here, but I have a copy of it, and I provided it to Brad, and they already had a copy of it, so apparently it,
So who
It's-
decided on the 400 to put that in the budget?
I would assume it was Martin.
I would like to see it up to the 3,000 I requested.
Well, I would think that's for the council to decide. You put your request in there, and then we adjust from
So
there.
this entire budget is for you to decide, and yes, Martin did put together the entire budget, for presentation purposes, but it's your decision all the way through. So, you
Okay.
tell us what numbers.
Well, I mean, that's not the only one that I don't have a written request in our
that is
packet.
185.
How do I know he hasn't done something, or something wasn't done with any other requests?
I think maybe I'd just ask that,
I think everything that was written, given to us in writing is certainly in here. I'm comfortable with
Right,
that.
but it's not written as 3,000, it's written as 400.
In the budget, yeah.
Right.
What page is that on, Doug?
I think what he's saying is just when we do future budgets, it sounds like we'd like to see the original request, and then we'll just decide to lower it as needed, but keep the original request from the business in the budget as requested. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know where the 400 came from.
there's no request in here from a Risk-Aaron agent either.
Not a written one.
They didn't even send a request in, period, to the city?
So,
There's a letter right on page 180.
It's in the outside request, in the detail. Page 188.
That's ACAP.
Isn't that what you requested?
You start, Rustic Area Agency on Aging.
Okay, yep, sorry.
I didn't note a page number down here, so I'm assuming I didn't see it when I went through either, but, so I guess just a couple notes. Just in future budgets, I think we'd like to see the whole amount that was requested, and then just,
The
if
supporting
it's not the supporting documents, if there isn't a written request, then we'll just assume they
Yeah, we
wouldn't
take
like a request. Yeah.
verbal,
Well,
a verbal request and then they don't show up.
well, and I do think some of these are verbal, and they're, you know, an annual thing that we've done right along, and there was, maybe they weren't told they needed to back that up with anything at the time, but.
I met with Martin before he left, and I gave him the letter and P&L statement of our budget and our operational, what it was, what we were.
Yep,
And
and
those-
I gave
that's,
him everything we had asked for.
Yeah.
yeah, Scott, we got that. It's right
It
on
is in the book.
193, 194, so everything, thanks for bringing that in. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we move the gift allocation from 400 to 3,000.
So we have a motion by Kevin, second by Jeff. Any council discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, 7-0, so we'll increase that to the original of 3,000.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything you guys do.
Okay, moving down the list, we have Maine Public Radio, the Presque Snowmobile Club.
So we've got 3 members here. I just would say that this was part of the letter and agreement that we did with purchasing the new groomer, and so it's in 2 pieces. It's $5,000 towards the purchase price of that we agreed to a multi-year donation for that, for the trail system, and then the other $2,300 as the pass-through of registrations from the state, so it isn't actually out of the taxable budget. It's money that comes in and then comes back out and goes to the club from the state registrations.
Excellent.
So there was a question on that too, is that the right amount? 73?
I guess the question was asked, and we need to kind of see what the state is actually sending, because we don't know that, so we've asked them, but we haven't got that answer. So, we'll find out. But we sent that to them to say, tell us what you're sending us, so we know, because we don't have
Any
that.
questions or comments for Craig? Okay. Next up is the Quaggy Joe Ski Club. We have the Veterans Cemetery. And lastly, Wintergreen, or not lastly, but we also have Wintergreen Arts. Come on up. Please state your name, and happy to hear your presentation.
My name is Dottie Hutchins. I'm Executive Director of the Wintergreen Arts Center. And I'm here with Gretchen Violet, who is our events coordinator. And we were organized in 2006. Since 2010, we've been what we consider the arts education arm for the city of Presque. We've been in a partnership. We do the after-school arts program, summer arts program on behalf of the city, as well as Wintergreen. We also run a preschool in the mornings, and we do several events, 2 of them coming up the holiday. We were bringing back our Gingerbread Festival in collaboration with the Kiwanis Club. They're doing a reindeer games event, which we're partnering with. And then, of course, the Wintergreen Express, which I think this is 10 or 11 years for that. So those are fundraisers for us. I guess I'm not prepared to talk for quite a bit, so if there's any questions, but basically, I feel in our partnership with the city, because I'm a Presque taxpayer as well, that I think the value that we bring to the city is that by doing the arts and crafts, both after school and summer, on behalf of the city, it's probably a better economic situation than if that was done in-house. And I write a lot of grants. We get grant money, and with our summer program, we also partner with the Presque Housing Authority, and we do a program we call Art with Heart, which we've done 7 years. It's free. And 50% of the kids that went to our summer programs, it was free, and I raised grants for that as well. About 23% of our after-school kids come on what we call scholarships, and I write grants for those. I'm probably forgetting to mention quite a few things. We have some amazing people that work for Wintergreen. Our preschool teachers will be graduating their 8th class. They've been with us for 8 years, and Gretchen herself has served in many capacities since 2010 as well. So we are extremely appreciative of the City of Presque Isle, that relationship, that the partnership speaks volumes. When I write grants to other foundations, for us to be partnered with the city is bigger than big. So that's extremely important to us. And then personally, Gene Cronin and his team, when they spoke up last spring and saved our preschool, gave us space when we lost power at the at where we are in the mall. We were on the dark side of the mall. So we are eternally grateful for that.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions that I could answer, I'd be happy to.
Well, Dottie, is your request to 20,000 this year?
Well, I was looking at that, and that makes us kind of look bad. It was 20,000 traditionally for years,
Right.
and then I think about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a 4% or a percentage cut across departments, and we were honored to feel like we were at a department. We got that cut along with everybody else. So
Okay.
when I send the letter, I send it like I did
Right.
7 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's fine.
But if I'd known it was going to be shown on the big screen, I probably would have put 16,000 there, because that's what it's been like, I think, the last 3 years.
Well,
So,
right, well, I think like everyone, the expenses have gone up as they have everywhere else, and so I guess my 2 cents would be that we couldn't run an arts program without hiring staff. And if we hired staff, $20,000 would pay for maybe partially for one person, and you have an entire organization
and we have,
and multiple programs. So I think your partnership in what you've said is very, very true, that we get an incredible bang for our buck to partner with you to do this programming.
and I hope I don't, I hope I'm not brash by saying that, because we are extremely, extremely grateful for what we have, and I don't mean to. I just know that I know the situation you folks are in. You have taxpayers to answer to, and so just trying to look at the bottom line and the value. But I also think it's value to the area to have a community arts center, because I think keeping young families and attracting, especially young families, I think an arts center is an interesting thing to have in your community.
I would just kind of echo Craig's comments that, I think when we did our cuts specifically to outside requests, that was certainly pre-COVID. That was certainly before the childcare crisis that's, affecting Aroostook County. That was certainly before prices were what they were at the grocery store. That was certainly before, wages needed to go up to meet that, to meet those new expenses. So I would also certainly feel comfortable raising that back up to the $20,000 mark.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? All right, so it's in here as 20,000 currently. Okay, so we won't need a vote on that. Anything else? All set. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we had a couple additional requests come in. The first one would be Life Flight Maine, and that was for $2,000, I believe. And then we had our last request for Hope and Justice. I apologize, Brad, I don't have the full request number for that one, if you have it.
Hope and Justice.
Yes. 5,000. Is there anyone here from either of those organizations who would like to speak? And you do have the requests in front of you. Louis provided them, I believe. And so if you do want to take a look and read through those after the meeting, we can certainly get a handle on what they're looking from the city. But I think that concludes our outside requests for tonight. Was there anyone else here who didn't or wanted to speak?
Jake, I got a couple questions.
Yeah.
Central Rusick Soil and Water, is that something we're obligated to, or what is the history of that?
I could help you with that. Each county has a soil and water conservation district. We handle the state end of doing things with agriculture, but also with working with DEP. Manor Lake was a big project that we were involved with. But we also have a federal partner, which is NRCS, and then partner with those folks. We enable NRCS to do their type of work. Randy Martin, surprised he isn't here tonight, but he's running that show out there right now and doing pretty good. He works hard to get some grants and stuff, but each county and some districts are in 2 counties, but there are 16 districts all told in the state. So make a request to their local communities for funding to support their type of program. Now in Aroostook County, we have 3 districts. We have one in the north, and then the central Aroostook, and one in the south. And so that's basically it. We do an awful lot of work with trying to, as Nick Archer used to like to say, keep dirt. And so the primary original goals was to try soil erosion, control of soil erosion, those types of things. But it is branched out into things with working with DEP, with municipals and that thing. Stormwater is a big one that we're all going to see. So I'm knocking on the doorstep now for the past 10 years, and these districts are able to help bridge within RCS to get federal grants along with the state to try and fix these types of problems. So that's basically what in our Central Rusick Soil and Water does.
Do we have a request from them?
Yes,
Yes, you mentioned it earlier.
Yep. Don't they provide some educational services too?
Yes, some of the things they do a lot of stuff with forestry and that type of thing for, trying to control erosion, but also, tree planting, a lot of those types of things. It's a multifaceted organization. And I haven't been involved with them for a while, but I was involved with them. I chaired it for 10, 15 years. I've forgotten how long now, but it's a rural organization, but they're all across the country. It isn't unique to Maine, and our ties have been fairly tight with the state in trying to handle these things. I know that right now Randy's doing some things with DEP and trying to deal with those types of things. Towns, if they have an issue, if we can find a grant to fix it, Randy will see what he can do to do that.
So the answer to your question is no, but that's an annual one, and I'm sure there was a conversation.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Not for that. Do we have a request from Quaggy Joe?
Thank you.
Not a written one.
Yeah, the ones I have down here for the ones that we don't have written, the Red Cross, which I feel like I might have missed that one. That's usually in there. Aroostook Area Agency on Aging, the Central Aroostook Soil and Water. Obviously, we just heard from Gift, the Snowmobile Club, Quaggy Joe, and Veterans Cemetery. So I don't know. Maybe it'd be possible to reach out to them, just
If
make
you'd
sure.
like,
Yeah, that'd be
can.
great.
Yep.
Well, I just struggle that it's year after year they think it just comes. They don't put a written request in, nor do they show up. They could do one or the other, but they do neither.
We can rectify that.
Excellent. Okay, I believe that is the last of our outside requests for tonight. We have a number of budget workshops coming up where we, discuss any changes the city council would like to see. So thank you everyone for coming and speaking tonight. Have a great night. And we will move on to our capital reserves, and that is on page 247.
So in that one, it's good that the department heads are here. That one, you do have the full list of what the department heads requested and what the manager's changes were. And the department heads, you may want to call on them to talk on any of these changes.
Start with police.
Yeah, go ahead and come on up.
Cap, 248. Hello, Chief Kelly.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm well, and you?
Good.
So I might as well do both while I'm up here. So we have one for the police department and then a separate one for public safety. They're two separate accounts. I believe last year we had very little, if anything, in the police department side. This year it went up. That is because the shortest answer is we've put body cameras back in there. We purchased our own body cameras with forfeiture money, and I can say we got what we paid for. So they were constantly breaking. Their selling point was you can leave them on all the time. When you put them in the charger, they automatically download. What they were doing is they were automatically deleting, and it seemed like the bigger the case, those were the ones that got deleted. So when it goes to trial, and we say, yeah, we have body cam footage of that, and then we have to say in court, no, we don't. So that becomes a big legal issue, blah, blah, blah. So bottom line, what is in here now, this is a lease program. We can equate it to what the cars are. It's a lease for body cameras, and it's a body camera taser package. It's a lease. It's cheaper than purchasing them. They're higher quality. We don't have the issues with them. If we have issues with them, this company replaces them. It's basically cheaper in the long run, and they replace them on a 5-year basis. So, and that's offset, we're not replacing all of them.
So is this price then, is it a per year price where it's a lease, or is it like, this is what it takes to get in the program and then
Right,
the
so
yearly price?
this we might as well say 40,000, it's 39,397,000. That is a fifth of what it is every year for, so that's divided over 5 years, but it's for how many tasers?
The 39.9 is for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
If you want to, this council wants to see it, I just brought it here just to show you. So it is a combo package. The camera, which is right here, and the taser are synced together along with our firearms. So
I want to demonstrate that taser
Absolutely.
thing, Craig.
Oh, no.
I don't jump right up there.
Do it on me.
We won't enter in any litigation tonight, so nobody wants us opinion.
I was just showing, I thought you guys might have an interest in this, the difference in policing. So this was my uniform 2 years ago as an officer. This is the uniform today. If anybody was to tell me that we would ever be wearing something like this, I would say they were probably looking to invade in Afghanistan. But this is modern day policing, unfortunately. It's kind of a sad thing to think about, but that's where we're at now. So this is the body cam. So in the event where we had a critical incident or just a taser call, I would activate my taser. The body camera immediately turns on. The body camera will turn on anytime the officer touches it. And our policy says that they must touch the body cam for any time they ever speak with the public.
Oh.
But in a crazy situation where we have possible shooter or we have a very, very serious incident, the officer might not remember to do that. So now it's Bluetooth. So as soon as I activate my taser, the camera turns on. If I pull my firearm, the body cam pulls on. Not only does that body camera turn on, but any body camera within 100 feet will. So we just had this a while ago where somebody was trying to sue the city for a lawsuit, and the argument always was, well, we didn't see all the angles. Now that has been taken care of. Because if I have 5 officers circling somebody, all the cameras will turn on at exactly the same time at that different angle and cover everything. I didn't know that much about civil litigation until I went to the chief's seminar last year, and I couldn't believe how many cities right now are getting sued on a monthly basis. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's why I started this program, because when I came back, I'm like, we have no protection. The city has no protection. The days off an officer's word is credible are gone. We have to be more transparent. We have to show what we did at all times. And this not only is the $39,900 to cover 18 tasers, 18 body cameras, 18 Bluetooth devices, and 18 licenses. It also gives us access to evidence.com. What evidence.com is all that footage that we're going 24/7 here, 7 days a week. If we had to store that footage anywhere, it would cost us thousands of dollars for a server. This has its own iCloud platform built into it. So all this footage is getting sent continuously. Not only does it get stored there, we can delete it, we can edit it, we can redact it if we have children or victims that can't be a part of it. So it's a full service. Not only is it that, they also have their own attorneys. So if we ever have an incident where we use our tasers, they will actually send up their own attorneys that will testify on our behalf. So it really is truly a full service. I've come here many times asking for stuff for the officers, but this particular item, the taser and the body cam, is really for protection for the city. Times have changed. Times have definitely changed. We just had a trial just 4 weeks ago where the person was going to sue the city for a lot of money, and their big thing was when they went to court, if they win the case, that they're going to sue the city. It was a use of force case, which we've had 5 use of force cases just in the past 6 weeks. The jury got to see the camera footage. They got to see it from all the angles. They got to see everything in clear view. Not only did we win the case, but the lawsuit went away very quickly as well. So even just that one savings, that one lawsuit pays for this 5 times over on a yearly basis. It is something I never thought we'd have to go to. I really didn't. But times have changed, as we all see, and this is a game changer for safety for the city. We deserve that.
So, I'm not saying I'm in support or not, but I just want everyone to realize it's not, $40,000 this year. It's $40,000 indefinitely, forever. Is there something between where we are now and this that gives ample evidence and protection that maybe doesn't cost $40,000 a year?
So I shopped around a lot for this system. The reason why I went with Axon, the Sheriff's Department have Axon, multiple agencies in the state of Maine have Axon. The major cost for this is not necessarily just the taser and the body cam, it is the entire package with the attorneys and all that kind of stuff, but more so evidence.com. There is a lot of different versions of these everywhere. This is the best. This is the platinum. This is the one that's going to protect us, the city, for many, many years to come. The more officers we get, obviously the more packages we have to buy. But right now we have 18 of these, and that serves the officers that we have right now. If we decide to increase, which is something that we really seriously need to talk about as another thing, obviously it adds about $10,000. The whole kit that you see the officer wears is about $15,000 of equipment that they use on a daily basis. This isn't, I would never come to the council and ask for something that we might use once a month or once a year. That I cover with grants. What we use on a daily basis is what we need to have in the budget at all times. So to answer your question, Mike, it's never going to get any cheaper than it is right now. I actually saved a lot of money doing this particular package. I know prices will raise, but I've caught into it now for 5 years. Come 5 years from now, I know it will go up, but the savings itself for the city itself is
So Brad, should that be a capital request or should it be part of their operational budget? I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I think it could be on the operational side if it's going to be an annual, kind of just expensive. Initially, we had that in the capital reserves, but
If we want to buy them, just instead of the leasing, we were looking somewhere in the region of around $320,000.
Because
So it's very much like the cars.
it's so software and Bluetooth laden and stuff that I don't think it would be helpful for us to buy it, because the information and the technology is almost out of date as soon as you buy
It
it.
is correct, and
Yeah.
so my big thing was, it's lease to buy, correct? They're like, yes, it is lease to buy, but at the 5-year mark, they're like, you'll own them, and it'll be a lot cheaper the next time you level up, kinda like the cruiser program. The next time you level up, it'll be a lot cheaper, you will save money, but 5 years from now, we're gonna walk into the same problems that we had. We had an officer involved shooting, as you probably remember, in 2022. We had 2 officers who actually had in-car cameras. It just happened to be that officer that was involved in that shooting had an in-car camera. And
Right.
that was our savings.
Mhm.
It also happened on Main Street, so there was a lot of other cameras that we could
Yep.
pull from.
I
If it
saw 'em.
wasn't that officer, then we are looking at possible criminal charges, we're looking at civil litigation, and we have no way to prove whether or not the shoot was good or not.
Mm.
It just worked in our advantage that time. He actually did have one of those body cameras that Chief just talked about on his person, which did not work, and also his firearm also did not work in that situation as well. So it just goes to show, we do have to keep moving with technology, and we do have to keep upgrading the equipment on a continual basis to save the city from litigation and to save his offices like that.
So do we already have these?
We do. So I went to Martin in February because I was in violation of absolutely everything come February. I was in violation of discovery requests, FOIA requests, everything was deleting, and I was getting calls from citizens, I was getting calls from lawyers. What are you hiding? Where is the footage? So I went to Martin, I'm like, this is what I've researched, this is the next level, this is what we need to go to. He said, absolutely. So I paid for the deposit on these for the year with every single thing I had in forfeiture. I wiped out the entire account to make this happen. And then, of course, it was going to come to this point then, and Martin said, we will present it to the council come December of this year to see if it can be added onto the budget. So yes, they were already bought, that it didn't cost anything from the city, it was everything I had out of the forfeiture account. But like everything, grants and forfeiture accounts should never be used, but it was just, I needed to do it, I needed to do it fast.
Let's ask one question. Let's say, is this tie you up for 5 years straight commit, or is this a year-to-year agreement that you can get in and out of? Let's just say there's a better mousetrap 12 months from now, and it's 10% less money. Can you leave these guys and go to something else?
Absolutely, yeah, it is, yeah.
So it's a year-to-year
Yeah,
thing.
it is a year-to-year thing, yeah.
Because technology is a wonderful thing. It
Right.
always evolves. It
Oh,
always
yeah.
changes.
I will say that Axon, and the reason why I went with Axon, because we've had Axon for 15 years, right now they are the leader in this technology. Not just this, but they're going into virtual reality training, drone systems and stuff like that, they really are the next level.
It's not a Chinese company, is it?
Axon?
No.
And like I said, we did start with something much cheaper that we paid without a forfeiture, and it was a nightmare,
Yeah, we
a
paid for
real
those old
nightmare.
ones out of forfeiture as well, so that was a
But now you
truly
know what
loss of
you
money.
don't want.
Exactly,
Right, so
exactly,
this
exactly.
And it did help,
solves
I
that.
have to say, it did help with the sheriff's department already into this system, so I pulled from them, I grabbed them, I used them to make sure that this is something we're not gonna walk into and make a mistake. They have loved it, and as you probably already know, they're going through $1 million lawsuit right now, and they do have this body cam system and this taser system, so at least they can fight this argument.
Well, and you've already been using them and you're satisfied with them.
It's been unbelievable, as I said, yes, just for the stopping off the money that would be costing even to begin a lawsuit. That I could email these video recordings to anybody at any time, and if we had a major incident, another great thing about evidence.com is, just say we have 25 people who witnessed this incident and recorded on their iPhones, I don't have to write a search warrant, I don't have to get consent searches for the phones any longer. They can actually send all that information directly to evidence.com.
Yeah. It's on the cloud.
Correct, yes, scary thing, it's on the cloud.
And yeah, I'll definitely say that, if you've ever watched, like a camera at a store and you're always wondering, why is the quality so bad, in this day and age, and it is absolutely because storing video is expensive. And if you store, good quality videos, you need a big server. So got to imagine that'll save a lot.
And just one quick thing too, which is more important for law enforcement side of it, but also for civil litigation, is they provide a chain of custody stamp. So for me to, I can look at the video, I can edit the video, I can redact the video, everything in one day. It would timestamp every single second that I was on doing whatever I was doing. So if a attorney wanted to say, well, you edited it and you did this and you did this, everything is timestamped. Same thing if somebody else watches it, it's timestamped. So there's no way that they could ever say there was any fault in chain of custody, which is more important for prosecutional cases, but it's also for civil litigation.
We take the number and divide that by the high number of monthly call volume these guys are doing. Doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, we're more than
We will
1,000.
hit 13,000 calls this year. I didn't think we'd hit it, but looking at the numbers now, we are gonna hit 13,000 calls, which is 5,500 calls more than the average we've ever had.
Back to just the totals, why had the manager put 2,000 higher than what you requested, and then also put in another $4,000 figure?
Yeah, Lori, see.
On the body cam and taser?
Yeah, so it's probably 39,397 is the actual 12-month cost,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got $2,000 more in it, exactly, and I'm
I
thinking
think
that's a back,
I
that's a
know,
back
yes,
payment.
Kevin, it was because of the licensing fees, so that we had to add 2 more tasers and 2 more licensing fees, which average about $700 to $800 a person, so that was it. The actual cost is about 41 even
Per.
right now for everything combined, the 18 tasers, the 18 body cams, the 18 licenses, and the 18 Bluetooth devices. Obviously, it would go up.
So the department heads issue these budgets about 60 to 90 days ago, and so this is an updated number,
Right.
right?
So what's the $4,000 equipment replacement that you hadn't requested?
So was it a laptop, computer? Can't remember.
It could be,
I don't even have that on.
That'd be on, I don't know if you have the whole budget in front of you, Lori, but I think they're referring on page 248. Under police department, you have the body cameras and tasers for the 39.3, and then you have, okay, yeah, and then you have their equipment replacement. I just didn't know if.
Oh, yes, so that was, I believe those are the laptops that Pam had called you about today. So every officer has an assigned laptop that they can do their cards and complaints, and it's actually, and we currently don't have enough for all the people that we have, and we need to replace one that's completely, I don't even think you could scrap it, and then we have a brand new officer we have 2 officers that do not have one, and they're scheduled to go to the academy in January, and they will definitely need that, because we upload everything that they need, not only for daily work, but for the academy, like the crash report system. So when they learn how to cover accidents, they will actually do that on the actual system, which is uploaded on those. So those are just, one is replacement, and then the other ones are for new.
because the officers now are totally self-sufficient in their vehicles. Back in my day, I would drive, and I actually didn't have to drive by the call to get to that PD to grab a vehicle to head back to the call. Now my officers are actually going 10A in service from their driveway, and they'll already have their calls pending. The days of waiting for a call are gone. They might have 7 or 8 calls pending on their laptop straight away, so they don't need to contact the PD. They can go directly to the call and service themselves in and clock themselves out just on the laptop. Everything's out of the vehicle now. You probably realize that already, but it's a very different way that we used to do it.
Okay. Any more question or comments? All set. Thank you guys very much for the presentation.
Do you want, that was the only thing for the police department, do you want to do public safety?
Oh, yes, please.
Basically, everything in public safety is ongoing reserves for future updates, except for the exterior doors. Those are in there for, I mean, that's just gonna save us on fuel and heating, and so the dispatch console, that's all brand new. That was awarded us last year. The whole thing was replaced. This is just for put aside for replacement or update in 10 years. Same with the flooring. we refloored our entire side, but we did not do the fire department side, so that's to put away for their side. Updating the furnace, and I have to say that that's probably gonna go before you put enough away for that. We had a lot of issues with it this year and last. Exterior doors, that's a one-time thing, and then overhead door monitors, actually, we could probably take that right out. That's only $2,000. And we had that in there because they were an issue, but we've just been replacing them as they go. Right now, they're currently all working. So it's not that big a issue.
So if council's all right with it, you guys okay with striking the overhead doors from the budget?
Well, I think it already is.
It is.
Oh, okay, it's
By the
already
manager.
Gotcha.
Taken out.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you very much. Any
Thank you.
questions or comments?
Do you have a quote to do the whole furnace?
I don't have an updated quote. I could get it, but so we replaced the HVAC system was 90,000. So and we did have, I don't know, Brad, if they ever got an estimate. They're looking at going to 2 boilers instead of 1, and so Tyler came and looked at that. I'm not really sure. I would have to get a total estimate, but.
About your 50 grand that the manager put in there is not gonna suffice.
I wouldn't think so.
No, so
we're good for a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a controlling issue right now.
Yeah.
that's building the reserve.
Yeah.
So that 50,000 should be in reserve?
It's capital, it's a capital reserve.
Yeah,
That's
right,
what we're doing.
That's right,
Yep.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yep. They're just putting a number in so that at some point there's some money there to
Okay.
do the job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have the fire department.
Okay. A lot of numbers here.
Welcome.
Good evening, Council. So looking at the fire department's capital, it's pretty much the same year in, year out. It's basically to maintain equipment that comes to end of its life and needs to be reserviced. So SCB air bottles, as an example, as I've said many times, DOT has a 15-year cycle on them. There's no option. 15 years, they go out. We can't have them hydroed. We can't fill them. So those got to be replaced every 15 years. We have like 66 of those bottles. Firefighter turnout gear, NFPA says 10 years. We don't necessarily follow that rule. We look at the gear, how many fire services it has, and what kind of conditions, and does it have rips, tears, things like that. And as long as it's serviceable and we can justify it, we kind of look the other way on the 10-year rule. But new firefighters come along, we're all in different size packages, and the one thing we've learned over time is fit them with the appropriate size gear to make their work and their job easier. It's almost impossible to climb a ladder when your pants are too long or when they're too short and you can't get your legs up. So it's critical that we make them comfortable. Scott Air Pack, same way. You know, they have an end of life. They're expensive, so we try to put so much money away every year, so when we do have to replace them, there's no sticker shock. We've already got it in the bank. EMS equipment, ambulance reimbursement. I talked to Autotronics, and our new ambulance that we had ordered in 2021 was shooting for February of 24, but that's been laid out again. So I can't tell you when the truck we ordered in 2021 is going to ever show up. But we do have one on the line. EMS equipment, we did increase that I think last year to 30,000 from 25. It's just the cost of everything is going up. Sometimes we buy stuff and the shipping is more than the actual item we bought. The only issue that I've ever had with this budget proposal for this year is the SCBA fill station is 22 years old. We've had a lot of maintenance issues with it. I had asked to put the 33,000 in because that would give us the quote to replace that unit and be done with it. And the city manager recommended dropping that 16.5 and doing it over the next 2 years. I'd really like for you to consider not doing that, replacing it in 24 and having this right off the table. Fire apparatus, We're trying to put money away. Fire trucks are $900,000. We're trying to put money away, but we have engine 2, which is 22 years old. It's in fairly decent shape. I'd like to see us find some money, instead of replacing it, refurb it. We had it looked at by the manufacturer, Pierce, and they said the truck is worth refurbing at about $300,000 to $350,000 compared to $800,000 to $900,000 new. So that's probably the option we want to go. But it's like anything. If we let it go too long, it's not going to be in a position where it can be refurbed, because now there is frame issues and stuff like that. But right now, it's a prime candidate for a refurb, which can add anywhere from 10 to 15 years life on it. Portable radios, as anything, we have to replace them every few years. New technology, or they change the brand, or they change something, you can't get parts for them anymore, so on and so forth. Thermal imaging cameras, we have 2. Both of them are completely outdated. They are not serviceable. We sent one down because the screen had gone black. They sent it back and they said, nothing we can do. We can't even buy the batteries for it anymore. It's just, they're that old. But I learned a trick. If I bang it just right a few times, it'll come back on. But eventually that's not going to happen. And that's really not a piece of emergency tool that we want to be. Might work, might not work. And so those are really the items that we have. They're everyday items we use. We're just looking to put a little bit of money aside each year so that when the time comes for replacement, or if we have to buy a couple portables, we have some place to go to buy a couple portables. Yes, sir.
Daryl, you gave me a tour. It was very insightful. I've got some pictures of the air station here. I'll hand it around. But so that Jeff had a good question in about the type of equipment that is. So that's basically pumping air into the bottles.
Correct.
And what was that?
It's essentially an air compressor, if you will. Is it a piston type air compressor? Kevin said it's pretty noisy. I mean,
It's the unit is probably,
We got a picture of it.
probably
Yeah.
4
Yeah,
feet
well,
by 4 feet tall, 6 feet long, and yeah, it pounds in this little tiny room where a fill station is. So we can't run the compressor when we're in there doing the fill station. So there's 4 large bottles that we fill, and we work off those. If we have to fill it, then I got to put earmuffs on.
So,
It's just-
an updated compressor system or recharging system, is that a different compressor design, like a supercharger type of?
The compressors are a
compressing
lot
design?
smaller, but the other advantage, and I think I mentioned this is the fill station is actually gonna not be in the same room as the compressor. So actually you could run the compressor to keep your air banks filled. You're gonna be outside of that room with the little air station filling your bottle. So they're gonna be separated.
So when you guys kick that puppy into gear, what's a room temperature climb to?
Oh, it climbs up over 100. It'll get to 110, 120. Yeah. Yeah, we had to put a thermometer in there because the company said if it gets too hot, you gotta shut it down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you got 33,000 in the funding,
Yep.
and you want another 33, and that will buy a new one?
That'll buy the new complete system, yes.
Okay, so if you knock that in half, so you need another 16.5.
Correct.
And your thermal imaging camera, you had put in 10, but they put it in 4,000? Is it
Right, the
camera
cameras are
10 grand?
about, how did we do that? I think I have one in the cameras are 4,000 apiece, and I think I have one in the actual operating budget, and then the other one started going. So we've just stuck it into here because we want to try to keep something going. So at the end of the day, we would buy the 2. We'd still have $1,000 left in capital to start the process of, and then we would just put a very small amount away.
Okay, so I got a negotiation for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you need 16.5 for this, the fill station.
Mm-hmm.
You need another 6 for your cameras.
No.
Well, because you've got 4 already allocated.
He cut your 10 to 4.
He cut it to 4, and I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. That'll buy us 1 camera, and
Okay. So
But what was your negotiation? I'd be interested in hearing.
Well, I'm gonna give you less now.
Then I'm walking.
You got 2,500 undesignated. You need 16.5, so that leaves 14. That you still need. If you use your undesignated.
That undesignated, couple things come up
Yeah, that's,
since this has been printed.
yeah. that-
and
Okay,
it was
we won't
the-
touch it.
So that's
Yeah.
0.
Okay,
That's not very much.
well, what if we give you the whole fill station, but you take 16.5 off replacing the fire truck for this year?
Yeah, you could.
I mean, you can do that because that 50,000 isn't gonna get us to where we need to be for the refurb. You might end up, and I don't know this, but a year from now saying, hey, let's just go borrow some money and send that truck to Appleton and get it done. So I mean, I guess I would, if it gets us to Cameron and we lose a little bit on there, I wouldn't have heartburn over that, cause we're not gonna get there this year anyway.
So that's a yes.
Huh?
That's a yes.
That's a good, that's a maybe. No,
I think the fill station's a bit higher priority. I mean, I recognize going down the road and stuff with the apparatus and the ambulance replacement,
Yeah.
but I think that thing needs to go.
Well,
Yeah,
I'd propose
I
that.
think what you're proposing is to move a little money out of the apparatus so that to buy the other two things, I could live with that, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to
Yeah,
go.
that'd be a yes.
I don't know if I need a motion for do.
So we're
Well,
looking
what
to,
do we need, Jake?
we're looking to move $20,500, is that correct?
No, 16.5
Just the 16.5, okay.
from the fire apparatus to the fill station.
Yeah.
We're gonna increase the fill station to
Yeah.
33,000.
Yep.
That should get that across that order place then, right?
That what now?
That'll place the order for the fill station,
Yes,
right?
absolutely, yes, yep.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the replaced fire apparatus, that is for a refurb of the truck.
That would be, yeah, we could use it to either buy new, buy used, or do refurb, yeah.
Okay.
But it makes a
I-
lot
I
of,
think that we should still, you know, in the years ahead of us here, keep putting some money in there for a refurb on that truck.
Yeah.
I think would be probably a wise decision. I mean, maybe next year we can put, you know, whatever we were looking at this year to do the refill station. I mean, that's not gonna be in there next year.
So that
will allow us.
if I remember right on my tour, that was engine 2, right?
engine 2, yes, yeah, which is a 2001.
Yep.
Yep.
I assume you've probably looked into it, and maybe it's not even something they go down, but with our having enterprise and you having a.
Yeah, they don't do fire trucks, or ambulances,
Yeah,
or
fucking
ambulances, yeah.
So we don't even have something we could get a cabin chassis and swap or something.
No. The good thing is a lot of the actual refurb work may actually be able to be done in Fort Kent, because that new Fort Kent dealership is actually a Pierce fire truck dealer as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
it might not have to go all the way back to Wisconsin. They might be able to do a bulk of the work right here in the county.
That'd be handy.
Yeah. But I will say it's gonna take about 300 and 350,000 to do it. But you're basically walking out with a new truck when you're done.
Okay. Any more questions or comments? So I don't believe we would need a motion where we're not voting on the budget, right? We're just throwing numbers around.
Brad
Well,
will
just
update.
clarification for me, I guess. So we are going to, the increase, the SCBA fill station is now gonna be 33,000, and the fire apparatus, instead of 50,000, it's gonna be, that minus 16,500.
Come on, 33.5, where's your math?
Been too much talking.
I think that sounds right. Sound good, everyone? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for the presentation. Okay, moving down the line here, I don't see Rec and Parks, Library, and City Hall. I don't know
There
if you
isn't
wanna-
anything there that we can't work with. The only thing I am aware of, and this really is more Brad's bailiwick, but the server is gonna be a problem at some time in the future.
Is that the computer replacement?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Yeah, so Greenmark has a, like, 10-year schedule or whatever, so each year they, plan. So that is in that plan. So that switch and firewall replacement is the 3,500. The computer replacement is the individual computers, of course, of the year. It's 12,500, so.
Okay.
So we don't need to put anything for a server.
No.
Okay. What's the enterprise leasing of 150 grand?
That's the vehicles, that's the cruisers and all the cruisers and all.
Oh, okay.
Everything's there, yeah.
It's just under City Hall, because it kind of blankets.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, any questions, comments? Thank you, Brian. Public Works?
Good evening, council. This capital budget was put together with Harley, who's in the back row, Public Works Director, and Janice, the admin, and myself. So Harley and I drew straws, and I drew the short ones, so here I am. So there's quite a few pages. I'll just go through quickly if you have questions as you go, and in particular, Martin adjusted 3 items, so we'll talk about that maybe in a little more detail. So we're on page 56 of 67 is what I'm looking at. This is paving. You've seen this in the operating budget.
Dana,
Yes.
you're making a mistake that I made.
You're in the CIP.
Page 252.
252.
We already went over the
Along
regular.
the line.
Okay, wait a minute. We'll try here. 252.
I have 249, yeah.
249 works real good. That's what's on the screen.
Yeah, you can just go by the screen if you want.
I don't even have that page.
Can you see it up here?
Give me a telescope.
That's what
Well, that thing's on wheels.
Joker. Okay. We're on the fly. Here we go. Single axle plow truck. I'll try to work here with 2 sets of notes. This is 2005, so it's about 20 years old. And Martin suggested that the fund $255,000 purchase single axle plow truck fully outfitted. Martin recommended that the purchase be done with solid waste reserves. So dozen years ago or so, Presque expanded our landfill, about $6 million. That's the bad news. Good news is we got almost $5 million back. We've now merged as part of Rustic Waste Solutions, so some of those funds are sitting there in reserve and do not need to be used for solid waste. Every year we're asked, what can they be used for? Are there any restrictions? No. Having said that, I recommend that we keep $1 million in there. I think it was about $1.2 million, and then we used a local share for Echo Lake of 200,000 gallon. 200,000. So it's about $1 million in there now. And I recommend that that's in case we need it for purposes with Rustic Waste Solutions. Okay, the second item is the roller, 1989, 55,000. Again, this is like 34 years old. And it, Martin recommended that it come from undesignated reserve. So Public Works has a reserve account, and sometimes we might purchase something and there's for less than what we budgeted. So there's money left over, or we get a trade in and the money goes back. So there's, I don't know. So we're gonna take 55 from that amount, which I think is about 80.
No, it's 55,554.
Oh, that's all that's in there now?
Undesignated,
Wow. Okay. There's about 55,000 undesignated, and Martin recommended that we use that 55,000 to purchase the roller. Watershed dams, we have 7 dams for flood control, and this money's in case there's erosion problem or issues with the mechanism and the gates. Storm sewer improvements, huge issue there. Need to put money aside. This is like a $16 million.
Yeah, that $9,000 doing a lot of legwork there. I
Right.
don't know.
This is to start with cameras to assess the issues with the system and basically decide where to start. The sidewalk, it says TIF funds, Rice Street sidewalk, TIF funds are not eligible to be used there. So this would be coming out of capital. This is being done at the request of a local business and tied into another project. And basically, we're gonna widen the street on Rice Street and put a white line down and have a sidewalk.
So do you need that 25,000 to make that work?
Yes. Yep.
Well, it's not in there.
Right.
It's not in there where?
Yeah, under the manager's
The
side.
manager gave you 0.
What I'm looking at here says 25,000 under manager.
The airport
You're on
drive.
Airport Drive, so I don't.
Oh, 0. Right here, Rice Street, 0.
I thought you could use TIF funds for stuff like that, like, say if it was from Hampton's TIF funds.
Yeah, and that's in that district, isn't it?
The issue is Hampton Inn, the district is a physical location, and the BLD Hospitality TIF, the Hampton Inn, does not include Rice Street. Includes Main Street, which is done, the sidewalk on Main Street, from Walmart up to Maysville. It will include, on Carmichael, a sidewalk, include Spruce Street. Does not include Rice Street. So we can't use TIF funds for that. Basically, this would be, look to Harley here, we're gonna widen the street, probably widen the shoulder.
Stripe it, keep a boundary sort of narrow, water workers.
And you've had a request for this?
Yes, yeah.
And not only a request, but a request with some funding attached to it.
So they have put in, I don't know if we wanna say who it is, but, or the amount, I don't know.
Just that there's a substantial donation being given to make that project work, I think is.
So it's tens of thousands that's been donated.
So, I mean, a week or so ago, we saw, or maybe 2 weeks ago, we saw the TY Lynn proposal, different bike path loops proposed in the future. I don't recall Rice Street being part of that master plan.
It's not.
Or why it would or wouldn't be. So it's not part of the connectivity thing for all the loops around town currently or being proposed in the future.
Yeah,
So this is mostly driven by a request from a business in that vicinity.
it is.
Yeah, and they've got some funding to put with it, because this is probably not all the cost.
20, for Rice Street, the 25 is all the cost.
All the cost.
Yes. That's a good point that Lewis brought up, is, so that private funding is not in this budget anywhere. So bottom line is, we can make it work. It's 0 in here, we can make it work at 0. Well,
Or wait another year, you know, put it in a different budget.
we could, but it'll work.
Were you alluding that, Maine is is gonna have a sidewalk too?
Main has sidewalk.
He has it.
So, DOT, when they did North Main Street reconstruction, basically, we had the TIF funds for the sidewalk, and we did an MPI, which is a 50-50 grant with DOT, and we used TIF funds to pay for half of the sidewalk on North Main from Walmart up to Maysville intersection. So that piece is done. That was done with TIF funds.
That was part of the BLD tip.
BLD TIF, yeah.
Okay, that's what you're saying, that
Yeah.
Rice cannot be part of that.
Rice is not part of that, but private funding will be. Okay.
Just so I understand, so,
So we're not.
would you like the $25,000, is that your request to put it back in or to operate with a zero?
I think we're gonna be okay without it.
Me too.
Okay.
We're gonna be fine without it. We'll make it work.
Is there any way that could be done so that it's not right on the road and there's a grass divider between the?
It becomes a maintenance issue for plowing. Basically, if you widen and you got the wing out on the plow, you're done. If you have grass, you're gonna wreck the grass. If you have, I call it esplanade, some call it green space, and then the walk, you got a problem with plowing. Now we're gonna have to send the trackless sidewalk machine over the sidewalk to clean it off because you don't wanna run a wing over the grass.
Okay.
Okay. I skipped,
I think you're on Airport Drive sidewalk. Okay.
yeah, I did skip, okay. Airport Drive sidewalk, so this is tying into the Central Drive sidewalk that we constructed this summer, 2023. This is basically to provide a safe place for the people from the homeless shelter walking down to Parsons Street area to keep them out of the street. And this would be similar to Rice Street. It's a widening of the street with a white stripe. Why not have a curb? Because usually when you have curbs, you're gonna have to have storm drainage. The price skyrockets. So, and this horizontal delineation with a white line is allowed under like DOT regulations.
So is this by the CrossFit gym and around the corner to the homeless shelter? Is it that area we're talking?
Starts at the intersection of Airport Drive and Central Drive, the homeless shelter, and goes northerly, I guess, on Airport Drive to Edgemont.
So it connects those two?
Yep.
Where we just built and up
Yep.
around the corner? Okay.
So they'll be able, except for crossing Edgemont, they'll have sidewalk all the way down to
Yep.
Parsons.
Right.
So,
That's current, that section that you're proposing to add sidewalk is currently lit. There's streetlights on that.
I think it is, huh, Harley? It's
I think there might be one, but it's not real bright.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been kicking, that's a separate discussion, I don't wanna muddy that, but I'm just wondering if that's somewhat lit. I thought it was somewhat lit.
I drove through there intentionally for that 3 weeks ago or so. I think there's some lights. I'd say it's not great, but there's some lighting there.
So supplemental lighting maybe in the future on that if the sidewalk gets done.
Yeah.
Something else maybe think of in the future would be maybe a sidewalk along Maysville and maybe some lighting along Maysville as well from Main Street towards Main Street headed west.
On the connector?
On the connector.
Wow, on the connector.
There is, isn't there?
I don't think so.
No.
I think there's room for it, but there's no
I think it's
sidewalk
up, I think
there.
it's through the ditch and up on the bank,
Well,
isn't it? I think
Not
there's
sure.
a path there,
You talking Parsons connector?
at the car,
Connector.
across
I'm
from the mall.
talking connector.
No, Parsons.
He's talking to.
Oh, the other side.
To the
Yeah.
west.
The west side.
Towards- Yeah, there's no lighting.
There's,
Oh, I
there's
got you.
no,
Okay.
there's no sidewalk there.
Isn't that a state?
It's a state route. It'll,
there's a lot of pedestrians I see in the dark there for
Yeah, there is.
just about every day, but
Maybe we're
just
talking-
something maybe to put on your radar or
Okay.
put in a thought bank or whatever, that's all.
okay.
Not to derail what we got going on here, but it's a discussion for another day.
Public Works Building Maintenance. Thank the Lord for Tyler. So he come up with this number, issues in the building. We have twin boilers that both have to be replaced, so just briefly, Tyler, is that for replacing two boilers?
Yes.
130,000?
Yeah, it might be about 20,000 low, but we'll be better number hopefully the end of next week. We got two companies that responded to the RFQs. One's local, one's in Alton. And we're working with both of them. They're both well-qualified companies.
Currently driven by number 2 or gas
Number two right now,
right now.
they're both recommending gas.
Yep.
Egypt Road culverts. So Egypt Road is a town way. It's 100% city responsibility. There's two twin culverts there, 5-foot diameter, large. They are structurally failing. And when that happens, the bottom curls up. And both of them are in that situation. The tops are flat. We have a video. We probably won't. Anyway, we have a video of it if you're interested, but constant maintenance, we're looking to find some grants. So Martin suggested that we do a 10-year note. Technically, this has got to go from culverts into what in DOT language is a bridge. It's like $1 million. The 2 5-foot because of what they call connectivity for fish and animals and make it look like it was before man walked the earth. You have to have a really wide structure. So it goes from 2 5-foot culverts to over 20-foot bridge. 20 feet and up is a bridge category. This is a shot in the dark, honestly. But it's an educated guess. It's gonna be $1 million.
How long has the culverts been there that are there currently?
Want to take a guess?
They were called junk in 2012, so they've been junk for 12 years.
So they were assessed by, do you remember what group that was?
I do not.
2012, they were assessed by a group that looks at watersheds, and they were in poor condition then.
So did these junk culverts replace junk culverts?
You mean the ones that are in there?
Yeah.
No, they were failing already in 2012.
Yeah, they were in poor
I'm sorry.
condition
I'm
then,
sorry, yeah, I got you.
and they're failing now. They're so corroded that the bottom rusts out,
Yeah,
and then they curl in. The water is running in between the two culverts and washing everything out. So-
And who was saying that you can't, I mean, $1 million, I mean, couldn't you just excavate those two failed culverts and replace them and they'll be good for another 50, 60 years?
Well,
Is there an appeals process or a third-party engineer that can?
I mean, if
This
what's
is-
there now has lasted all of this time,
right.
I mean, I just think it's kind of.
So Maine DOT has told us that the, whatever resource they're looking at, that they're too small. So that's the start. But when you get into permitting, so this has got fish in it, and you have to get a permit, it triggers a whole other bailiwick of issues of, so the stream width now is 18 feet, and you have to put a structure back that's 125% of stream bank width. So we're over 20 feet, and basically that's a bridge, or it could be a huge box culvert, but
Don't they make round concrete culverts and stuff?
Sure.
Yeah, round precast concrete, that's not an option in this thing?
No.
5-6 feet in diameter?
There's two options, basically. If you want to go round, you have to go extra large, more than you need, because you have to bury the bottom and put gravel or what to make it look like it's natural.
Yeah, the bottom's gotta be natural.
Natural. So usually they don't do that anymore. They'll go box culvert, which is kind of a rectangle with an open bottom, and then you have the natural bottom.
Gravel.
But but at a certain point, you can't make the box culvert big enough. You go to a bridge.
Yep, it's a 20-foot width.
Yeah, yeah,
The fish are gonna love it.
yeah.
And
It's-
even though it's a city road, we have to abide by what DOT feels?
Main fish and inlands and all the other
Yeah,
permits.
I think it's mainly DEP, environmental protection. It's not a Department of Transportation issue. It's an environmental issue as far as what we're going to replace or have to replace it with.
So if we bonded this project over a 10-year period, then we'd be looking at about $110,000 for year one, and that's what the ask is, right? That's what this is.
Yeah, we're looking at grants right now through MEMA, Maine Emergency Management, and DEP has they call it stream crossing grants. They're transferring the program to DOT. Nobody seems to know who's in charge of it now, so it's kind of in limbo.
Yeah.
But tonight, I would not recommend go borrow $1 million. It's like we're gonna look for grants.
Right.
There's another angle. We're working with DOT that has to do with mitigation funds that we're hoping that we're gonna get some financial help. So.
When we go to the bond bank, do we have to provide matching funds? So like, we could take this request rate to 0 because we're gonna go borrow all the money anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense to me. Like if we're gonna borrow the money, if we're gonna borrow $1 million, we don't need 110,000 in the budget.
Yeah, we can take that 110.
That would be the first year.
Well, you still get,
Yeah.
Well, and I think the issue is just like he said, he's gonna start looking for grants and stuff. So having the 110 in there, if we get a grant for 500,000, or whatever it may turn out to be.
Yeah, for budget purposes, I think you could go to 110 and hope we can do better than that. The worst case is we'll have to borrow, but I hope we don't have to borrow $1 million.
Is there how much traffic does that road get?
Less than 100 vehicles per day, which is another issue. If it was more than 100 vehicles a day, it's a townway, so the city still has to build it. But if it was more than 100 vehicles per day, DOT would take over the maintenance and replacement of it. But we still have to build it to start because it's a townway. So.
How much for a jump on both sides of it? You just get rid of it?
Where's Evel Knievel when you need him?
So, at least in my head, we got a few things we should probably finalize as far as the single axle plow truck. So it's currently sitting at 0.
That's a solid waste reserve thing if you want to pull it.
Right.
Right.
And your suggestion is we don't pull it from solid waste.
It's totally up to you. Try to put myself in your shoes. When you got $1 million sitting in this account for some unknown future, but you got to reach into the taxpayers' pockets for $255,000. I'm not gonna criticize you if you take the money that's solid waste reserve. I mean, you know, you still
Dana,
got,
remember when you told us Public Works would take $313,000 per year?
and then COVID hit.
I know. I'm just teasing you on that because it was like 8 years ago. But.
You bust my chops on that every year. Since COVID.
Well, we'd get it caught up though.
Yeah, we know we got it.
Now, was
we did.
And is that something that's readily available, that plow truck, or?
Oh, yeah, that's, oh, no, as far, when we order, it used to be 7 months. And now it's 13, 14 months.
So have we ordered it yet, or?
Oh, no, we're waiting. You
Okay.
have to approve it. We're not gonna order it until you pass the budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you take that $1 million that's in the bank, I mean, if that's drawing 5 or 6% interest, I mean, that's $50,000-$60,000 a year. So if we wait 5 years, we'd probably have the money for the truck. If the rates stay
I'll look
up
to
there.
Brad on that one.
But I mean, that should help, right? We're making interest off that money?
The problem is we have to specify that we're gonna take that interest and put that in that reserve every year. The interest rate now that we make off any of our money goes into our revenue and the operational side. It doesn't just automatically flow into one of these accounts.
So your $1 million in the account, you wanna keep that in case you have an unknown expense at the solid waste?
With the Rustic Waste Solutions, but truthfully, Doug, the odds of that are slim.
Well,
But at some point, when Tri-Community's space is used up, the trash is gonna come back to Presque. We're probably gonna have to pave the Lathrop Road. I mean, that's something like 1.5 miles long. You know, that's today's money. It's, cause it's gravel now, I don't know, it's like $300,000. Probably more than that today. So it'd be nice to have a paved road when there's a lot of traffic going out there. But again, that's
18 to 20.
Years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, where I was going with that is if there's something that comes up, it sounds like it's going to be something large that would probably have a note on it.
Well, yeah. Truthfully, if I was sitting where you are, I'd take the money of the solid waste reserve because it's almost like borrowing money, you know, from the taxpayers' pockets when you've got it here. You do have the emergency reserve that's almost $3 million now too. So,
And this single axle truck we're replacing is how old, guys?
20?
Okay, so we're gonna get another 20-year truck roughly. And why would we wanna borrow money for a truck we're gonna have for 20 years? Yeah, we would wanna take it. You're gonna take it out of the solid waste reserves.
Right.
Because it's not something that's it's not like a candle or something that just burns and is gone. Or like a firecracker or something. It's there for a long period of time.
But we do have a dozen of them, so we're having to replace one every other year or so, right?
Right.
We are, yeah.
So the roller and the snow blower, and I hadn't thought of this in previous years, what are we getting for salvage out of those?
So we have trade-in prices, Harley, on the two truck, on this truck, do we have a trade-in price? We do not have a trade-in on this one yet. And the roller, we have no trade-in price yet.
Okay, but normally that's traded in offset.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
I was just wondering what happens with it.
Yeah.
And could these pieces be refurbed? Like Daryl was alluding to refurbing a fire truck.
Well,
Yeah, it might be a little pricey, but I would imagine it wouldn't be $200,000 to refurb one or the other.
I think, well, I'm gonna, Harley's the ex. Yeah.
That might be something worth looking into, if not right now, in the future, next time around, somebody's gonna be able to.
I think the difference is the plow trucks are driving every snowstorm spreading salt, and the
Right.
fire trucks just sitting in there going out 20 times a year.
So this
Right, but a section of C-channel frame rail and a box of rivets and stuff like that. I mean,
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Refurbing companies can replace that stuff. Is what I'm.
Well, this is a, like Mike said, this is a single axle, so it's an in-town truck. It carries salt. It's probably rusted out. And going back to what Daryl said, you got to refurb before things get really corroded.
I suppose. Yeah.
I don't know where this one,
Yeah, they're in rough shape.
it's, it's 20 years old.
Oh, I don't doubt that it's not in rough shape, but.
Plow trucks need to be in rotations. I have no problem with that
Absolutely.
line item. But Harley, just refresh my memory, is that the snowblower and attachment fits on front of the payloader,
That's correct.
self-propelled. So what you're buying for 210 is the front part.
It's complete, yeah, with motor and the blower, yeah.
Do you have one of those now and you're adding on? You have two.
And they're both getting to the age where they're failing. Last year we were down for a week during a snowstorm because they were both broke down and we couldn't get them going fast enough. So they're both unreliable right now.
I thought we bought something like that a few years back. Or maybe it was
No,
the
it's-
loader itself.
The loader is 2017.
The motor's about 6 years old.
Yeah. We haven't bought a snow blower in over a dozen years.
We bought a sweeper
We bought the
recently.
trackless thing, we bought a sweeper.
Yeah.
Trackless is for the sidewalk, yeah.
But those are small.
Yeah, relatively.
Okay, so we have our solid waste reserves. Everyone okay with that for the truck?
Yep.
And then we have undesignated funds are gonna work for the roller. Everyone all right with that?
Yep.
And then, yeah, I think we're all set.
And we're keeping the 110 for Egypt Road.
Thank you.
So I maybe we could get a little more clarification on that, but I guess I don't understand why we want the 110 in there if we don't know how much it's gonna be, we don't know what grants we're gonna get, and we don't know if we're gonna need a note in general.
Like Brad said, that's to pay for potential debt service if we went into, if we did bond it.
We don't even know what we're gonna need to bond it for.
Boy, sometimes the grants require some match too. It
Yeah. They
really
do.
would be.
I mean,
Well, it's not gonna cost us nothing, we know
it's
that.
gonna be fixed, and it's gonna be fixed like in the spring.
Well, we did a really, we got tired of patching every 2 weeks. There'll be a hole every 2 weeks. So Harley, working with the mechanic, did a really good patch. It's held up. How long will it hold up? We have no idea, you know. So do we need to replace it in 2024? Harley thinks so. You know, it's like we don't know.
Yeah, it's not going
Well,
away.
I mean, can this thing fail and fall in
It could.
at any time? I
Yep.
mean, it's pretty bad, right?
It's bad. So the 5 foot culvert, Craig, is 3.5 feet inside.
Yeah.
We measured it.
Yeah, so it's collapsed.
Yeah, the top is flat and the bottom is coming up.
Yeah.
So if you walk in there, you have to.
Well, I
crouch.
guess the question I've got is, I mean, do we limit the weight on that road in that area first off right now so that no big trucks go over it? And then do you, I mean, what do you do? I guess, I mean, as far as the public, I mean, do we
Yeah, is there
say
a
pass at your own risk?
liability concern with that?
Well, we've talked to DOT and they said they have a bridge guy that helps municipalities. He said we could post it. I don't know if it matters, but our truck is gonna weigh way more than the posting. You know,
Yeah.
we have to plow, but we're telling people, oh, you can't cross that, but, oh, we have to plow, so we're gonna cross that.
And there's no temporary type repair that not meant for years and years, but going on the liability thing.
Well, there is, and that's what we've done, is we basically took a big piece of metal and put it on a brake, Jeff, and bent it to the shape of a 5 foot diameter and put it over the top.
But you couldn't put a new culvert in there temporarily?
Have to ask DEP. I mean, if it
It would
fails,
take nothing to go dig that out of there and throw a couple new culverts in. You'd be done that in a day or two, I would imagine, and would be call that your temporary repair to avoid any liability issues of people falling through it or causing an accident or even having to worry about posting weight limits. I would think
Yeah.
that would buy you the time that you would need to have a safe passage of that roadway between now and the time that we figure out what we're gonna put in for a bridge, how it's gonna get funded, who's gonna do it. But we just keep farting around and waiting to see who's gonna do what and when. This thing's only getting worse.
Well, and who's this, I mean, we could write a check for this tomorrow and it may not even get done in 24.
Right.
Correct.
So, I mean, are there like jack studs or size large you can put inside it or something, or? I'm just.
From what
Water flow.
DOT said, of course, they have lots of roads and culverts. What they recommended is what we've done. Is you basically kind of bridge the top of the culvert with a giant patch of metal in that shape. And you distribute the load as much as you can, big piece of metal, and hope it stays. But we can't just go in, I hear you, Jeff, just go in and a day or two and you're done. Is the liability now is on the environment, we'd have to get permission. You know, there's fish in there.
I don't understand what you would have for any environmental changes.
Silt, erosion type stuff.
All right, well, I think we've kind of beat Dane up enough over this. So it sounds like we want to leave the 110,000 in. Everyone all right with that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dana, for that. I appreciate it. Harley, you too. Okay. And moving right along, we have, anyone want to speak on behalf of the Industrial Council? Hey, there you are. I didn't see you back there.
What would be the questions you'd like to ask?
If you wouldn't mind just coming up, giving us a kind of real quick.
This is Tom you're talking to. Nothing's real quick.
All right.
You were left whole.
Why's your request higher?
Well, you'll see probably the biggest item that you'll see there is we're asking for $235,000 in total this year. The major change with that is we have been awarded $150,000 on average for the last 5 years. The reason this is upticked so much is I asked for $106,000 to be put in for paving for the new spec building we're completing out. Quite frankly, that has already been done, and we are glad to get it done in 2023 because that would have put us all through the winter season without it, and into next spring, actually into next summer before we would have been able to. We were also able to piggyback on the city's rates, which was a pretty good rate this year for paving, and because we used Soderberg, who was the one who had given the quotes for the city to do the work. So we felt that was a pretty good number. Asked for $106,000 to do it. It came in at exactly $100,000. So there is $6,000 that's off, but there is a strip that should be paved at the end of West Drive for about another 40-some feet. That $6,000 would probably take care of that. Otherwise than that, it's pretty much the same maintenance items that we go throughout the year. We have more leased than we've ever had before. They're all full. The tenants are responsible for X amount of the work, but the large items, whether it be boilers, roofs, paving like that, is still underneath the city's umbrella. Less to do, but it costs more to do it. It worked out to the same money for whatever unusual reason there was. Our boiler systems are in pretty good shape, but if it cost $40,000 last year to do a roof, for some reason it's $62,000 now. That's how that stuff has gone. A lot of our increases are running probably anywhere from 12 to 17% increases in just in a year of what's happened in our billing, whether it be for a contractor, whether it be for materials.
So your last spec building, you didn't come and ask for paving with Arcanora?
You're right. But I had it in paving in general. It wasn't specific for the lot.
You
I had enough to do it.
You got 150 from us.
Right, and did all the other buildings as well. But paving was a large number in the last spec building.
Well, I'll take some responsibility. I pushed Tom to ask for more because he's grown revenues in the industrial park to the point where it's making money. So my feeling as a counselor and an industrial park member is that if he's making money and he's providing a good return on it, that a net zero budget that doesn't cost the taxpayer makes sense, and it lets him put money back into the industrial park where he can continue to grow it and make more jobs. So I think that was how the math worked out, right?
A lot of that math works that way.
5,400.
We'll combine the talk right now into that net zero thought process. I think that's gonna be very good. Lots of times we return 25,000, a good year might return 40-some thousand, maybe even 50,000, maybe this coming one. But there was also the other side of the coin is, let's say you save $20,000 throughout the year through good management or good negotiations. You had a use it or lose it kind of attitude. So, oh, gee whiz, we got $20,000 left, and it's December 15th. Maybe we should buy some overhead doors or some lumber, just to make sure you zeroed out. Well, now, with that same process, you wouldn't have to do that. If you were able to save throughout the year, you saved an additional 20 or 30,000, that could go into that fund to help build for next time. And in all honesty, guys, we probably do not have anywhere near the funds required to do another building at this time, because even though they're good deals and they're filled and they're at good rates, you still have to pay back the mortgage. And the day you're done building your house, you owe 400,000 on your house. It's not zero. So if you need to pay for it, that's how you do it.
Awesome.
I don't know any other questions. I'll be happy
Anything
to
else?
answer whatever anybody has.
Do you think it's costing more, Tom, because we're building back better?
Oh, that's 1,000% it right there. The asset at the end of the day is new assets. 2019 building, 2020 building, and 2022 building. In 10 years, the city's setting on debt-free 10-year-old assets that should be good for another 40, 50 years. Yeah, absolutely. It's just
or at least
good management.
Were you happy with the paving of the parking lot?
I was. There's a couple seams that were cold that I wish that they seemed a little better. But we also were able to get it in before the season closed. We beat out three major projects, and I was surprised, but it's because we were ready for it, and the other projects were still, had a lot of contractors on site, so they opted to do this. And, you know, Dana he shares the numbers with what the city's able to purchase for. We're able to compare it. It's a pretty good rate. You wouldn't in the general public get that kind of rate.
Oh yeah. I'm curious to see what City Hall parking lot looks like come springtime.
Ours will be better, but
but it's done by the same.
Well, they do, but we also had a granite build. All the sub base is that granite sub base. Yeah, it's pretty rock solid, literally.
Awesome.
What's going to happen, Tom, with the old animal shelter building?
So, if everything goes as it has been spoken about, the animal shelter will begin construction. Hopefully, even this winter, they will do their foundation work and enclose themselves and maybe work in the building throughout the winter. The area that the animal shelter, the existing one, is built upon is city property, and it's leased to them for $1. It's the right thing to have done, and it's a public entity thing. But the old building on it was actually built by donations or funds to the animal shelter. So what we're hoping will happen is that the land that they're going to move to, we will lease them for $1 again, and we will get that building in return for that $1 lease on that piece of property. And
Now
we will take money to refurbish that building if it's salvageable.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's something that you think could be rented for something, office or
We'd have to do a major
obviously.
gut out and do it, but yes,
Yeah,
I do.
After they move out, then we're gonna assess whether it's salvageable or not.
Correct. But you have to think, there is already concrete work done there, there's water, sewer, electrical, all brought into the site, and quite frankly, our experience has been, it's a lot of money to have that done nowadays. So you're at least starting with something.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we've got a decrease in the economic development. Galen, I don't know if that's worth mentioning real quick, or?
Yeah, that was just special events planning. That was a decrease. And again, that was a carryover from the prior year. I have plans outside. I think we have enough in the reserve for that special events. We are helping partner with the solar eclipse project. And then I am trying to do a state of the downtown. So that's a new initiative to try to really celebrate our downtown businesses and what they're all doing for next year. But I think we have enough in those accounts to make it work.
Okay. Enterprise leasing, looks like it went up 50,000. But I mean, I think anyone have any questions on?
Where are you seeing that?
On page 247, looks like in 2023 we were at 100,000, and 2024 budget we're at 150.
Oh.
That was just an additional vehicles.
Okay.
And then, we did end up pushing up the timeline on some cruisers this year because the issues had.
Okay.
And they were a lot better deal to get them now versus next year.
So we've gone through public safety building, and it brings us to the emergency reserve. Does anyone have any questions about why we do that or what's going in? I think we kind of beat that up.
We beat that up
Yeah,
last month.
I think so too. All right, so that brings us to the end of capital reserves. Thank you everyone so much for answering all our questions. And let's see if we can race through the rest of these here and go to the general fund revenue on page 225 is what I have.
225?
Yep, 225.
Can I get 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Tyler, you had, just with your previous job, you've got 75 grand under Parks and Rec for a tractor.
Yes.
Is that, I mean, that's a 2010.
Yes.
That's not as old as the plow trucks.
No. So
And-
it has about 4,300 hours on it, and we put about $5,800 in the front end this past spring. The problem we have now is we end up buying the parts on eBay because parts are no longer available for that tractor. That's the problem we have now. So we bought used parts off eBay. Got us through the rest of the springtime, but they are war parts, no
So
question.
what made Gene ask for 35 and we put 75 in?
Because so the 35 was not, that tractor was not getting replaced this year. That was 35,000 for the forklift, and I don't feel that the forklift needed to be replaced at the farm, so we swapped it for the tractor.
Okay.
You know, that tractor gets a lot more use than that forklift does.
And we've got at least a couple bids or a couple different
So
manufacturers to work with.
we got, no, we haven't put out the bid yet. We got a price, but there is about a $32,000 trade-in price that we could do on that tractor. We only paid $48,000 for it back in the day, so it's a pretty good return on it. But obviously the new ones have gone up in price quite a bit, so
You're staying green.
have to go to bid, so find out.
What's the horse level on that book?
So it's 66.
Oh, it's a pretty good size one.
So,
Check the orange ones over in Caribou.
yep.
They play well in the 25 to 30 range, but when you get
So
into
there's
the
also-
60s, it's,
I've got a 60.
do you?
Yeah.
There's also an option of a lease to buy. That's how we did the last one we have. It, you know, if we go the same thing what we had over 5 years, we end up paying $6,800 more. But it does lower the original price per year asking. You know, that 75 is obviously the whole lump sum.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Sounds
you're gonna put an RFQ out anyway, right?
A bid?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it gets approved, then we'll go bid with it. Yes.
Okay. So as far as general revenue goes, just so everyone is on the same page here, obviously this is a revenue account, so numbers going up is a good thing. You'll kind of see our biggest increase is the revenue sharing. Anyone have any questions on our revenue accounts?
I just would point out, you know, as we see our budget is up whatever it is, you know, there's an extra $400,000 of revenue there, so just keep that in mind. You know, if we're up $400,000, we also have 400,000 more in revenue coming in.
Lewis, your level of expertise is around the Betty deal, and that was a 0, or or you're just forecasting the flat for you from 23 to 24?
So 23 was a really good year on personal property gain. Yeah, that's considered an estimate going forward. I don't anticipate another gain like that going forward, or this next year anyway.
Every year we just use the prior number until we get close to tax commitment.
Yep.
And then we'll know what that number is.
Yep. Okay.
Any more questions for general fund revenue? All right. Moving on to city clerk, and I have that on page 215. Go ahead.
Hello. My basic increases are due to the election next year. We have a March 5th presidential primary, a June 11th state primary, and school budget, and November 5th is presidential. And last presidential, I handed out 2,300 absentee ballots. So I'm asking for somebody to come in and help me the month before. So I'm not pulling the girls out front, because that's also during tax time, so they're busy, so I don't want to leave them shorthanded. As well as I'm gonna need more ballots. We would like ADA booths, so we can be in compliance and do one for each, 3 for each booth, plus more professional signage. And one of the big things with the election, we would like to hire a police officer during the presidential, just because of everything going on. I did sign up today through Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency is doing a free evaluation. In January, they're coming up to do Caribou, and they'll walk through the building here as well as down at election and give me some ideas of what we should and shouldn't do, just for extra security.
Cool.
And that type stuff. But that's basically why I'm asking for a lot more money this year.
Any questions or comments from the council? All set? Awesome, thank you. So we'll move on to general assistance, and I have that on page 222.
And that is me again, and basically nothing has changed from last year. The state still reimburses whatever I help clients with. They reimburse 70%.
Okay. Any questions on general assistance?
Do you anticipate using up what was budgeted? The 22,000?
It depends. It just depends, like.
Well, you're middle of November.
Yeah, right now, right, this summer I haven't had hardly anybody. This week last 2 weeks I've had a lot more people coming in, so it all based on what time of year.
Okay.
Whether like this time of year, they tend to get the eviction notices that they haven't paid. So then they start coming in and asking.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll move on to resource management, which is page 138, I believe. And is this you as well, Kim, or is this Lewis?
It's actually Kelly.
Okay.
Yep.
Any specific questions for resource management that we can either pose to Kelly or someone can answer?
I'd just say her biggest increase is in the wages line
Yep.
there. Not much else has changed.
Okay. So seeing no questions, we'll move on to employee benefits on page 152. Looking through our benefits, no surprise there. There's an increase on a number of lines. Does anyone have any specific questions on any of those resource lines on 153?
I would just like to note, we did get our health insurance rate, and we were projecting 10%, and it came in at 5.05%.
Oh.
So $50,000 saving.
Nice.
So that's not reflected in this yet, but will be.
so that'll reduce that health insurance line. Oh, good.
Wow, that's good.
Good deal. All right, any other questions, comments? All right, moving on to insurance on page 162.
One of the major increases here is the vehicle insurance. Obviously, with the increase in cruisers and newer vehicles, the insurance got up. And then property insurance, obviously.
Any questions or comments?
Do we shop that every year, or?
No, it's through MMA.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that actually brings us to the end of our workshop tonight. We do have the airport on the agenda, but if the council is willing, I'd like to make a motion to postpone that to our next budget meeting.
If I could, before you adjourn, I got two little things that have just
Oh,
come
please,
in
yeah.
the last
Go ahead.
couple of days. We got a call from a Maine Northern Railway, and December 2nd, which is a busy day here with the parade and the crafts fair that's going on, they also want to run 4 train excursions, starting at Riverside Park and go up towards Squapan. 2 of them for public, 2 of them for their employees. So they want to make sure we're okay, you're okay with allowing them the use of the parking lot at Riverside. So they will board on that side facing the river. And they'll be here 8 to 5, they'll be gone before the parade. And they're gonna it's a charity, they're gonna give the money to some local charities that they raise by selling those 2 train loads, of, public ones. 218 people per trip, 3 passenger cars and 2 engines hooked together to do it. And the passenger cars have all been redone, so beautiful, yeah.
How much are the tickets? Lowest did they say?
No, and they're gonna do all the announcing and the promoting, themselves.
That's
So
the last one?
I just wanna be sure we're okay with the parking lot use. Thing 2 is we got word from, the Natural Resources Council of Maine. They want to propose a Maine Trails bond. It's gonna be presented to the legislature for $30 million. And it's for design, development, and maintenance of motorized and non-motorized trails statewide. And they're just asking for a letter of support. And I wanted your approval to do that.
Everyone like the sound of that? Yeah? Okay.
Both items are pretty cool.
Done.
Rather interesting.
All right, well, with that, and I would entertain a motion to move into executive, or I'll move to move into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 40560 to discuss negotiations.
Second.
Moved by Jake, second by Craig. All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.